All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as the 49ers make a transaction on this Friday. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, let's talk a little bit about what the Niners did today. The 49ers announced they have re-signed quarterback Tanner Mordecai to a one-year deal. And in order to make room for him on the roster, the team placed Equanimeous St. Brown on the injured reserve list. St. Brown, of course, originally signed with the team August 5th, and then they cut him. They brought him back when Andy Isabella got hurt, and now they're cutting him again. So St. Brown goes on the injured reserve list. I shouldn't say cut. He's on the injured reserve list, but Tanner Mordecai has signed with the 49ers to a one-year deal. So, let's talk a little bit about Mordecai. Mordecai's 6'2", he's 220 pounds. He originally signed with the 49ers as a UDFA in May of 2024. The Niners put him on the practice squad in late August, and that's where he spent his rookie season. And he was waived by the team August 4th, cleared waivers and went to the practice squad. He's 24. He's a native of Waco, Texas. Mordecai went to the University of Wisconsin, and then he went to SMU. He went to Oklahoma, and he played well. He was second team all conference as a junior in 2021. He's a good football player. Tanner Mordecai, in fact, when Kyle Shanahan cut him the other day, he said, hey, look, we'd like to bring him back. We really like Tanner Mordecai. But we needed roster spots for our defensive linemen. The Niners had an array of defensive line injuries, and they needed a roster spot. And so they took Mordecai's spot. So I really like Tanner Mordecai. Anybody who watches me knows that I'm a big fan of Tanner Mordecai. In fact, people were sending me notes going, Krug, you're in mourning. They cut Tanner Mordecai. I don't know if I would say I was in mourning, but I'm a Tanner Mordecai fan. Let's talk about why I'm a Tanner Mordecai fan. First of all, there aren't that many quarterbacks that can run like this guy. This guy is a legitimate 4.4 runner. He's got 4.46 speed. When he goes and takes off to run, he's a difference maker. He also may have as good an arm strength as almost any of the quarterbacks on the roster. I would probably give Carter Bradley a slight edge as far as pure arm strength, the ability to kind of power the ball down the field. But Mordecai's got really good arm strength. So really good arm strength, 4.4 speed. And the guy played some pretty good football in college at a number of different spots. It's funny. Luke Fickell was the guy that won him at Wisconsin. He pounded the table and was like, man, let's get him here. Mordecai is, he's athletic. He can throw the ball. He needs work on his touch. The same way Carter Bradley needs work on his touch. This guy needs work on his touch. He throws kind of a flat trajectory football. His deep ball, like if you watch Mac Jones's deep ball is, has a trajectory and he kind of drops it in the bucket, where Mordecai's deep ball is much more like a laser. And he doesn't have a lot of loft. So he's got to learn to be able to throw the ball. Instead of you can't throw it through defenders. A lot of times, especially around the line of scrimmage, you have to, layer it. You got to layer the ball over the linebacker. Brock Purdy makes layering the football look very easy, but it's a little bit of a QB 2.0 situation. Not every quarterback can layer the football. Colin Kaepernick had a phenomenal arm. He couldn't layer the football at all. I watched Mordecai. He's got a good arm. He's got a better arm than Brock. But he struggles if there's a defender in between, and he's just got to layer it over the linebacker in the flat to the receiver in the flat. It's like it's hard for him to make that throw. He wants to throw everything in a line. But he's got good arm strength. He has unbelievable foot speed, and he knows the 49ers system. I think the number one thing that made me sit there last week and go, really? I can't believe they cut this guy, was because it's so hard to find a quarterback that knows and can operate your system. And here's a guy that they've spent an awful lot of time with teaching him Kyle Shanahan's offense. And to, abort the mission at this point seemed really short-sighted. Now, Carter Bradley's got some advantages too. He's a little bit bigger guy. He's a little bit stronger. His dad is Gus Bradley, who's one of the 49ers, top defensive coaches. Carter Bradley also has a very good arm. And Carter Bradley also needs to kind of work on his touch a little bit. But I think Bradley is maybe a little bit stronger body, a little bit stronger arm than Mordecai. But what Mordecai has that Carter Bradley doesn't have is Mordecai's got difference-making speed. I mean, think about it this way. Brock Purdy is probably the quickest of the 49ers quarterbacks, and he's very elusive because of it. Brock has that spurt away ability because of his 1-5-4 10-yard split and the 10-yard shuttle. It kind of shows he's got great quickness. So he's kind of like Mahomes. Is Patrick Mahomes physically, is he have good foot speed? No, he doesn't have good foot speed. What he has is great quickness. And it's everybody's got a different skill set. I remember watching the Giants for years and years. JT Snow, hand-eye coordination, maybe the greatest I've ever seen. Quickness around the bag, maybe the greatest I've ever seen. Foot speed, just didn't have it. So there's a guy who's a great athlete, amazing hand-eye coordination, and was incredibly quick, but slow. Quick but slow-footed. And everybody's got a different skill set. And I just look at Mordecai. You look at Purdy. Purdy's quick, but if he had to run a 40 against Tanner Mordecai, Mordecai would beat him. But in that first 10 yards, Purdy would probably beat Tanner. But in the final 30 yards, Tanner would go right on by because he's a 4-4 guy, and Brock Purdy's a 4-8 guy. But I like this addition. One, you can never have a good enough or a deep enough quarterback room. Secondly, the 49ers, I think right now might have one of the best quarterback rooms in all of football. You have Brock Purdy, who's a young established starter who's making franchise quarterback money. He's your number one. Then you have Mac Jones, who has walked into Kyle's system and adapted to it just absolutely seamlessly. There are so many quarterbacks that really struggle to adapt to Kyle's system. It took Matt Ryan a full year. Look at Matt Ryan was year one in that system. Year two, he won the MVP of the league. So many quarterbacks struggle to learn Kyle's system. And that's the nice thing about Mordecai. He knows the system. So you got Mac Jones, who doesn't know the system, but he is playing on time with accuracy, looking really, really good. So Mac's number two. And then you've got Carter Bradley and Tanner Mordecai. It looks like battling it out for the third job. Will they even take three on the roster? I don't know. They may not. They may go with two and subject that third guy to waivers. And then you get Curtis Rourke, the Maple Missile, who's waiting in the wings, and he's going to get a full redshirt year to rehabilitate his knee injury. And so it's a really good room. I mean, you got a great young prospect down the road in Rourke, who had a terrific career, 2 different stops in college, and led Indiana, if you can believe it, to the college football playoff. And then you got Mordecai, who's 3 stops in college, but 4.4 speed and a rocket arm. Then you got Carter Bradley, the son of Gus Bradley, who also has maybe the best arm of anybody on the roster. Then you got Mac Jones, who's a legitimate NFL starting quarterback, who's backing up Purdy, but he has looked great in camp, and everything's coming out with accuracy and purpose and on time. And then there's Purdy, Mr. $265 million, who he's led you to a Super Bowl, continues to get better. He's got mobility, he's got accuracy. And if they can just protect him and give him a few weapons, he's going to win a ton of games. So that's the Niners quarterback room in a nutshell. There was a lot of rumor when they cut Mordecai that Shanahan said, he's like, hey, we'd like to bring him back. We'd like to bring him back. They liked Tanner Mordecai. They just needed a roster spot. Now it's on. We'll see. Brock's your 1, Mac's your 2. Mordecai will battle Bradley throughout the preseason for that third job. And then Curtis Rourke is QB4. So that's the latest in Niner news. They've re-signed Tanner Mordecai. They said goodbye to Equanimeous St. Brown. And once again, the Niner quarterback room adds another arm. Purdy, Jones, Bradley, Mordecai, and then waiting in the wings for 2026 is Curtis the Maple Missile Rourke. All right. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Also, thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Thank you, Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264, and he's a great follow on Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. And thanks to Clawdaddy Arcades. They're a great follow on Instagram as well at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. They got locations opening later on this year at both Capitola Mall in the South Bay, as well as Visalia Mall in the Central Valley. Clawdaddy Arcades. Thanks to them for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube,